Hey everybody, my name is Ben Schofield, and I am here to talk a little bit about what moral courage in accounting is. I want to talk about what moral courage in accounting is and how we can develop and maintain it as accountants. I'll do that by first talking about a brief history of what accounting is, how it was developed, and what it is like today. Then I will discuss the 5 points of ethics given by the IESBA. Okay, first of all, history of accounting. So it is believed that accounting was first started over 7,000 years ago in Mesopotamia. And in this time, the people relied solely on agriculture to survive. And so they would use accounting principles to track the growth in their herds and in the growth of their crops. And then fast forward a bunch of time. In the year 1494, there was a treatise written on bookkeeping. And in this treatise, it was first known or first to believe that it included the first positive and negatives in accounting. It also talked about how they used double entry bookkeeping to keep track of their records. And then fast forward all this time to today. What does accounting look like today? Well, as we know, it is a huge, every industry relies on accounting to keep track of their books and maintain the business. We now have standards and regulations which allow us to perform our jobs in the best of our abilities. Okay, so the standard of ethics given by the IESBA. The IESBA is the International Ethics Standard Board for Accountants. And these 5 points that I want to talk about are first, integrity; second, objectivity; third, professional competence and due care; fourth, confidentiality; and fifth, professional behavior. First is integrity. So what does integrity mean? And I want to talk a little bit about what Forbes actually defined integrity as. Forbes said that integrity means doing the right thing at all times, in all circumstances, whether or not anybody is watching. It takes a lot of courage to do the right thing, no matter what the consequences will be, especially when nobody's watching. So an instance where integrity in accounting was not followed was in the WorldCom fraud. So at this time with WorldCom, the CEO was setting very high goals that were definitely unattainable for his employees. So in order to boost his earnings, what they did was they counted operating expenses as long-term capital investments, which helped boost their earnings in an incorrect way. So in that way, their integrity was in question. They were doing things even that were incorrect to make themselves look better. The second standard is objectivity. Objectivity is when you use the best data given to you and you're more concerned about the facts presented rather than the opinions of others. So a story about this, or a good example of objectivity, is with the Enron scandal. So what happened with Enron is they were using market accounting practices, which means they were including future gains from contracts in their current income statements. And then they were hiding losses by putting their losses into special purpose entities. And so this caused a lot of issues for them because they weren't using the best data. They weren't doing what they were supposed to, and they were focused more on their own opinions rather than the facts of actually what was happening. This made it look like their company was doing good when they actually were not doing good. Because with the introduction of .com and all these other things, they really had some competition. They were losing out on big time on what their revenues could be. They lost over $74 billion. And how this came to surface was by somebody named Sharon Watkins. She was actually one of the internal whistleblowers that kind of got this whole process started of figuring out where Enron was going wrong. And this actually created or helped create the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, was this big Enron scandal. The third standard of ethics is following professional competence and having due care. So what that means is accountants are providing the best service to their accountants as possible. So I'm fortunate enough to actually work for Davies Allen right now. And something that they do for us as employees is they have us incentives to continue our education. I know this is similar to other places. Other employers are always incentivizing you to continue your education, but they do this by pay raises and other things that are very desirable for us as employees to improve our education, which in turn will improve the quality of service that we can provide for our clients. And another thing that Davies Allen does well is one of their core values, or our core values, is counting people first, numbers second. So we really make sure we put our clients first above anything else that we do. So we are providing the best quality service for them. The fourth standard of ethics is confidentiality. As accountants, it's crucial that we keep all of our clients' information confidential. They're trusting us with a lot of very pertinent information that can be used. If it came in the wrong hands, it could be used and it would be a very bad situation. One experience that I heard at work was an accountant accidentally misdialed the number. So instead of calling the owner of the company, he called the manager, or he called the front desk. And so what happened there was he called and said, "Hey, this payment couldn't go through. What's the issue?" And so this kind of got this snowball rolling for the employees of like, "Oh no, we are not going to get paid. There's no money in the accounts." But in all reality, it was just a miscommunication with what the account number was. And although this wasn't purposeful that this happened, this kind of breach of confidentiality between the accountant and the client caused issues. Of course, it could have been worse because there's just a miscommunication, but still the principle of confidentiality was broken, and it still caused issues even though it wasn't the biggest deal. The last standard of ethics is personal or professional behavior. I think of professional behavior as kind of being able to follow the previous 4 code of ethics that I previously mentioned. People that don't have professional behavior in accounting are those that want to portray a better scenario than actually exists. They're trying to make things sound better, and they're avoiding the true circumstances of what is going on. I think if it is people that aren't following are the ones that are bending the rules. And as accountants, we can't do that. There's a strict law that we need to follow. And if we don't, that's going to eventually fall back on us, and it's going to cause a lot of issues. Okay, so all in all, principles of accounting, they've been around forever. And they have helped many people become successful. But in order to become successful in accounting, we have to have moral courage. We can increase our moral courage by following the 5 standards of ethics given by the International Ethics Standard Board for Accountants. And these standards are integrity, objectivity, professional competence and due care, confidentiality, and professional behavior. In order to continue to increase our moral courage in accounting, it's best to continue to follow the principles. And if we follow these principles, we can not only maintain, but we can increase our moral courage in accounting. Thank you.